Back inside the Galen Center, a pretty good crowd has filed in, although this is a game USC would fully expect to win. And now because of what's happened in the Northwest, SC does need to win this game as well. In fact, at this point of the season, you can say that about any matchup. You always have to win these games, but Arizona State is beating Washington, or maybe has already finished that off, and so they're only a game back right now. Take a look at your starting lineups. Taj Gibson, Davon Jefferson, it didn't play well the other night against Oregon. Dwight Lewis, Mayo had the 32, and Angelo Johnson gave them a great look. Lots of good energy in the backcourt by AJ. Omari Johnson, both Tarvers in the lineup. Calvin Hampton gets a start tonight, along with Lathan Wallace. That's the same lineup that Oregon State used against UCLA the other night. Remember, Oregon State had some suspensions, some problems off the court, so they sat a couple of different guys. One of those was Marcel Jones. We expect to see both of those players tonight. Kevin Mouton is the head coach at Oregon State. He's 0-9 since he took over on January 20th for Jay John, who was relieved of his duties after 4+ years. Been an assistant in Nebraska, at St. Mary's, University of New Hampshire, Eastern Illinois, Butler, Colorado School of Mines, and he also coached some high school ball here in California at Logan High School. Oregon State is 6-20. And they are 0-14. Head coach for USC in his 3rd season, Tim Floyd. And Tim Floyd has won more games in 2+ seasons than any coach in school history. In fact, he's won 300 victories as a college coach. Idaho, New Orleans, Iowa State, and of course here at USC. SC comes in 16-9 and 7-6. Let's take a look at our principal financial group keys to the game.
Well, for USC, they just can't afford to have a letdown. You know, they've got to come in here and recognize that this is an important game for them, another chance to get a win, and they've got to have more than just O.J. Mayo scoring the ball. They can't let that 32 go to their heads and say, okay, he's our guy. For Oregon State, they've got to believe they can win. If they don't, it's a done deal. They've got to come out and have some success, and if they don't, and they have a little something go against them, they can't just say, oh, heck, we can't win. They've got to believe they can win, and they've got to take care of the basketball. SC's a great defensive team, and they can't let USC get out on the break and score easy ones.
USC has had a problem of playing up or down to their competition, and that could be a big problem today. For more on that, we check in under the basket with Christine Newblood.
Waddy, you know, on paper, this looks like a slam dunk win for USC, considering Oregon State's riding the 16-game losing skid. But the Trojans know from experience these types of games can be very dangerous. You may remember last season when SC, they were ranked number 22 then, when they played Arizona State, and they gave them their first conference win. Prior to that, the Sun Devils were riding a 15-game losing skid. Now, earlier today, one of the assistant coaches had some words of motivation, I guess you could call it that, and he told the players, look, if you guys were to lose this game, it would be a bad loss for the program and a bad loss for you personally. With more now on Oregon State, let's send it over to my colleague, Dane Blanton.
Thanks, Christine. It's no secret that Oregon State is having their struggles. 6-20 on the year, a 16-game losing streak. That is a school record, and 0-14 in the Pac-10. But most notably, they're threatening to become the first team in the 30-year Pac-10 history to go winless. I spoke with head coach Kevin Mouton. He said there is no quit in this team. They're going to go out here, they're going to work as hard as they can, and they licked their wounds, so to speak, after Thursday's beating by UCLA. But now they have USC and O.J. Mayo tonight, and the last time these two teams met, Oregon State was held to their lowest point total of 44. Back to you, Wayne.
Yeah, and against UCLA, Dane, Oregon State had nothing going. They were down by more than 20 at halftime, ended up losing that game by 35 points. And Mike, I thought it was interesting. I looked over at Tim Floyd on the bench. He was sitting there while his players were warming up. He was all by himself, and he had that typical worried look on his face. Does he ever relax before games?
Well, you don't relax, and these are the games you fear the most, because these are the games that mean the most, because if you lose, they could throw you right out of the mix. And sometimes, you know, kids are kids, and they're not always ready to play.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, as much as the UCLA victory did for their RPI, a loss against a team like Oregon State would be an absolute pressure.
Especially if you end up in that mix of 4 or 5 teams that's starting to develop in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, with Arizona State winning in Seattle today, there's some pressure on SC to hold on to 4th place. Dwight Lewis, who's been really emerging as a scorer of late for SC, misses that shot when Oregon State knocks it out of bounds. SC will keep it.
Too bad Hampton was checking out on the boards against Gibson, knowing how good an offensive rebounder he was, and he just didn't follow the flight of the ball, turned around, it bounced off his hands.
There's Mayo. Does he still have the hot hand? He sure does. 32 points. He had 30 points in the final 30 minutes the other night against Oregon, and really, he was the one that lifted SC. They were trailing that game most of the afternoon. One of his threes was straight out top of the key, about 28.5 feet.
Just don't want to give a team a second chance.
Tarver lost the handle, had to chase it to the corner. Shot clock still at 13, but Oregon State attacks the rim, and Davon Jefferson pulls it down.
Good read on defense that time. Not a good decision on the pass. Trying to make this spectacular play.
There are 2 Tarvers for Oregon State. Josh is 5, Seth is 15. Jefferson gets fouled at the other end, and O.J. Mayo is injured. He is holding his
Achilles.
It looks like his left Achilles. He's right in front of us, so we could see it pretty clearly.
Yeah,
he was in
good
pain.
Yeah.
He didn't move very much. Let's see what happened right here.
Oh, right there, sure. He stretched out, and you can see his heel came down on the foot of the Oregon State player. Just put himself in a real awkward spot.
So Marcus Simmons is going to come in quickly for USC.
Interesting substitution. We've talked about Marcus Simmons before, Waddy, and now he's coming in real early. First guy off the bench for USC.
Yeah, there's been a couple of games this year where Marcus Simmons has seen action early on, and Mayo goes straight into the tunnel.
Oregon State's done 2 things that we talked about they couldn't do. They've jumped in the air and make erroneous passes and allowed SC to get out on the break. SC hasn't necessarily converted, but Oregon State has to play flawless basketball. They've got to make better decisions.
And you saw Daniel Hackett sitting already on the SC bench in street clothes. Of course, he's got back problems.
Saw him working out prior to the game, though. Jimmy looked pretty healthy. He was working pretty hard. I think they expect him back fairly quickly.
Yeah, I was teasing him a little bit about getting back for the tournament. He looked at me and he said, I'll be back before that. But they're going to have to play without him today, and for right now, they're playing without O.J. Mayo. Angelo Johnson at the top for SC. This is Taj Gibson. Taj Gibson shooting just under 60% now for USC in this stretch. And he's fouled. He'll go to the line.
Well, I think you'll see Gibson a little more involved offensively, but it's going to be interesting to see where SC goes to get a score because they're so used to Mayo and people doubling him and playing off him. I think Gibson will be the go-to guy inside. And you can see Oregon State's problems. They just make freshman mistakes. You know, instead of going straight up and making him shoot a tough shot, rebound, and coming down, they reach out and put him to the line. Little just careless things. It takes time to develop those habits.
You know, the funny thing about Oregon State is they actually take pretty good care of the basketball. They're 27th in the nation, only given it up about 13 times. So Kevin Mouton trying to calm this team down, trying to well, I guess instill some discipline back in this program. They had some problems at home last week against Washington. Some of their players getting into a jawing match with the Washington players having to shoot around. Because of that, they suspended 2 of their players for the UCLA game.
Well, you become fragile when you're young like that and you don't have any success, so you've got to be very, very careful how you handle these kids. Now, Ethan Wallace is a guy that can score bunches. He shoots it only when he has it, but he can put up numbers.
Wallace started because of those suspensions against UCLA the other night. It was 7-0 SC. Here's Angelo Johnson all the way to the basket and out to the free throw line.
Well, see, there again, you know, trying to instill habits, you can see that Johnson had a clear side of the floor and was driving the basket, so I took the time to look at the weak side post to see what he was doing, and he had no idea that the guy was driving in the basket. He should have been over ball side outside the lane to prevent that. But again, those are just habits that take some time.
SC got to the free throw line a bunch against Oregon the other night. It's because they were aggressive, and because of that, I went back and looked at the numbers, but 2 games prior, SC had only shot about 12 free throws in 2 games.
Usually it indicates you're putting the ball on the deck and you're aggressive at point of attack, and if you have a team that doesn't defend very well at point of attack, and I think Oregon has been more of a scoring team than a defensive team, then you're going to be able to get some contact and get to the foul line.
Big second half for SC against Oregon on Thursday night. 48 points for the Trojans. Of course, a lot of that was O.J. Mayo, but he had a lot of help. Taj Gibson had a pretty good game. Davon Jefferson did not have good numbers that night. That's a good thing about this SC team. They have gotten deeper as they've gotten more mature. And so they have other guys who can score. Marcel Jones, who we've talked about already a couple of times today, takes it in the lane and is fouled.
Again, now I expect Marcel Jones to have an influence on this game. He has got to have an influence for Oregon State to have any kind of a chance. They can't dig themselves a hole that they can't dig themselves out of.
I think Marcel Jones expected himself to have a much better senior campaign. You're talking about a guy who's over 1,000 career points and will soon go over 600 career rebounds.
Game's still about fundamentals, Jim.
Marcel Jones with a step back, left it short off the front iron. And a good save to Jones. A look inside to Seth Tarver, regathers, gets it blocked. Another block for Taj Gibson. Taj Gibson with 130 career blocks, starts the break, and it's 10-0 SC.
We need a timeout here. Yeah, we got SC's out of the gate real quickly. 10-0 run, and they're getting numbers on the break. We talked about turnovers converting to numbers. Getting easy baskets on the break. Oregon State can't do that. They've got to either get to the glass and they've got to get back. Very nice block by Gibson. That's what he's best at, especially one-man remove. Nice dunk on the baseline right there to Jefferson. Very unselfish play by Lewis to give it up on actually a 3-on-1 break, which sometimes can be problematic, and Jefferson's not going to miss many of those.
Taj Gibson has made a name for himself. Of course, as a freshman, he set records for rebounds and blocks. The last one you saw was career number 130, which is number 2 all-time at USC. He's chasing Sam Clancy, who has 195. Just depends how long Taj is going to stay on campus.
Taj has really improved. You know, he's long, he's quick off his feet. He's still not a polished offensive player. He's still working on that part of his game, but the shot blocking, the ability to stay out of foul trouble when he's had to defend the good big guys in this league, been pretty impressive.
Exactly the start SC was looking for and exactly what Oregon State was trying to avoid. Calvin Hampton going to get called for a foul. It was either Hampton or Hayes.
It's a tough call coming out of a timeout to try to set something up to give your kids an ability to score a basket on a set play, and you get called for a little push-off.
I believe a foul was on Calvin Hayes. Throwing that elbow up in the face of one of the Trojans. And back comes Oregon State, their first real break. But look how quickly the 5 white shirts are back. Pull up and it rolls in. First bucket of the game, Josh Tarver.
Get the cellophane off that rim up there. Rolled around, went in, thank goodness. I mean, Oregon State, again, has to have some good things happen to them. Maybe they got to get a little luck, get a break. You know, of course, maybe you hate to say this, but maybe Mayo going out might be something that helps them in terms of playing against an already depleted USC team.
Well, they need anything. You're talking about a team, as Christine Newblue touched on already, that has lost 16 straight games, 0-14 in conference. O.J. Mayo has returned to the arena. He just came through the tunnel as Taj Gibson spins inside and flushes to make it 12-2. And there's Mayo back to the bench, and he doesn't look to be 100%.
A really nice spin move right there. He just took it in and backed him off and spun right into the rim and bang.
Jones at the top against Gibson, doesn't want any part of him. Took him off the dribble and left it short. Obviously intimidated there with those big, long arms.
SC's getting up and overplaying, not allowing Oregon State to get any kind of flow offensively. These are going to really have to use screens. Bad pass there.
Angela Johnson, great read. Stepped into the passing lane. Now in transition, give it up, Dwight Lewis.
SC really moving the ball. Ball's not sticking at all. They're trying to find the open guy.
Lewis ran on the end line. So a turnover, but they end up with a smile on it. He thought he had a reverse layup. It was Jefferson inside for one finish, and this one by Taj Gibson taking on 2 guys and scoring. And SC having their way so far. It's 12-2 SC. We haven't even played 5 minutes yet. It's already a 10-point SC lead, 12-2. Oregon State took 3.5 minutes to get their first bucket. USC wasted no time. 30 seconds in, O.J. Mayo got his 61st three-pointer. That ties Gabe Pruitt for the USC freshman record. But then after this, watch his left Achilles right there. He steps on the foot of the opponent on the drive, extended that Achilles tendon, went to the bench, and immediately went into the locker room, and he has returned. Here's your Pennzoil all-time freshman three-point leader. As you see, he has pulled even now with Gabe Pruitt.
Well, of course, Harold Miner, he put a bunch of those in on us, I'll tell you that. So that's pretty good company right there.
During the timeout, Roland Schaffenaar has come in for Oregon State. Sophomore from the Netherlands. He's been getting a little bit of time. Remember when we did the SC Oregon State game in Corvallis, he came in, actually hit a couple of shots. He's got a good mid-range jumper like a lot of European players.
Yeah, not very physically strong. Sometimes the game, I think, passes him by in terms of speed and quickness, explosiveness, but he is a skill player, as you mentioned, like a lot of foreign athletes. It's just, you know, you look at the highlights when we came out of the break. O.J. Mayo gets a three from the corner to tie Pruitt. Wide open. Here's a guy that just came off 32 points the last time. The one thing you tell your guys, hey, fellas, let's locate O.J. Mayo. If you get a chance, you know, he's a guy that went 32, you know, and he gets a wide open look.
Yeah, identify the scorer right away, and it's not easy. You can see Mayo from Corvallis. Little three-quarter court trap by the Beavs.
Changing up defenses off free throws, which is smart, trying to change the tempo, probably drop back in a half-court zone. No, it doesn't look like it. Gone back and match up and man.
I like that. That's a Kevin Mouton signature because we didn't see that with Jay John. Thrown up by Simmons. Simmons going to the line. All these Trojans now are attacking the baskets because Oregon State is just so small inside.
Well, if you cannot defend at point of attack in college basketball, you got real problems. I mean, that's where the whole thing starts with, is your ability to keep your man in front of you. If they jump up over the top, over pressure, with a hand in the face and make it, well, then there's not much you can do. But if they're able to drive, it opens up lanes, drop-offs, dunks, kicks through to the corner for threes. You have to defend at point of attack.
Simmons barely grazed the front of the rim on that one. He was taking some heat. It's right in front of the student section. A little bit of an embarrassed grin.
Come back and knock it down. That's the answer to that. A little strong off the back iron.
Wanted to make sure that one got
there. We needed an average there somewhere.
I think Marcus Simmons is a guy who's going to see a lot more time, especially when SC gets into the postseason. That's going to be an offensive foul on Lathan Wallace, and that is a difficult call.
It is if you're Lathan Wallace.
Yeah.
The kid was just trying to run to catch a pass, and he got body blocked. Mayo back in the game now here to see how he responds. Obviously, the trainers are giving him a good green light.
Simmons goes to the bench. Mayo comes back in, and the crowd responded right away. Almost more relief than anything else.
I bet that truly is the case.
Let's see how quickly SC tries to involve him. The cutter was Jefferson. They missed him.
Nice double down on the block that time with Gibson. Good, solid defense.
They go to Mayo and let Mayo go to work.
That's what I'd like to see more of from O.J. Mayo. He's a pretty good-sized guard. He just took it down, backed him in. It really looked easy for him, and I think that's a part of the game that USC's got to go to more.
14-3 SC, and Mayo has 5 points. He left this game for over 3 minutes. Gibson snaps it out of the air, gives to Mayo, and here come the Trojans in transition.
Oh boy, immediately stumbles again. Hold your breath.
SC has gone inside almost every time down. Lewis, 18-footer.
Oregon State just has to get more aggressive on defense. They did double down on Gibson again, but it came outside to Lewis, and he had just a nice little rhythm dribble to shoot the wide open jump shot.
First bucket for Lewis, biggest lead of the game for USC. Oregon State is shooting about 13%. Haynes lost the handle. From the corner was Wallace, in and out. Once again, Lewis. Kick it back to Mayo, and we'll set the offense.
See, I like USC's tempo. They'll push it, try to get an easy one, but if they don't, they'll come back out, recognize what they have.
Schaffner came over on the double, so nice pass by Gibson to recognize, look for the cutter. Jefferson right along the baseline.
See, here you've got O.J. Mayo just backing in on a smaller guard. Bang, bang, he turns around. Very nice and easy. That's a compliment. Normally you think of O.J. as a face-up guy, drive to the basket, the dunks or the three. That's just a low post up, which as a big guard he should be able to do and look very comfortable right there.
Davon Jefferson at the line in Corvallis against the Beavers. Team high 18 points. We had him on the post-game show, and it was the first time I got a chance to really sit down and talk with him. You forget, these guys, you watch them play for a couple of weeks, you forget they're still freshmen. He's 18 years of age.
In most cases.
In most cases, there are some guys that are a little bit older.
Has a little more mature freshman class here at USC, but nonetheless, they are inexperienced as freshmen.
Yeah, we were talking about Taj Gibson, especially who came to SC after a couple of years. Playing some prep basketball.
Prep school has been the latest thing, and young people going out, get added experience against great competition.
During the Oregon game the other night, I noticed that Malik Hairston is graduating. He's just turning 21. So that's the other end of the spectrum. He got started early.
Yeah, James Harden at Arizona State, you know, just a freshman at 18 years old.
He turned 18 in August,
Yeah,
I think.
true freshman.
That's unbelievable. And now Oregon State can't even get free throws to go down. It's gotten that bad. Ryan Wetherall's coming in for USC, along with Marcus Simmons. We've already seen Simmons. Now Wetherall came off the bench and got some time Thursday night against Oregon. It was a bit of a surprise. He played about 4.5 minutes, had good energy, didn't make any mistakes. He gave SC a little bit of a breather.
Johnson, oh boy.
Another block by Gibson, who just stuffed him.
You got to go up strong inside against Gibson. He's so long and so quick off the floor that you're not going to get real opportunities unless you get up to the rim.
Taken away from Wetherall. Back the other way comes Calvin Haynes for the easy deuce. Easiest bucket of the day for Oregon State, 18-5.
A little pressure full court with a trap.
Yeah, I like this. Why not? You know, get aggressive. Things aren't going right. Create something. Make something happen. Mayo.
That's one of the reasons why not right there, Waddy, if you're asking the question, and that is not recovering back, giving the best shooter on the team a wide open three.
And that three gives Mayo the USC all-time freshman record for three-pointers.
There he is on the left again.
A
Nice
quick touch
entry.
inside to Gibson, had it knocked away. Wallace came over and poke-checked it. He gets called for the reach.
Little late call there.
Timeout on the floor, 11:50. O.J. Mayo has hit every shot he's taken today. Two of them outside the arc, and that one right there is history. He's number one all time for freshmen at USC from outside the arc. Back inside the Galen Center. Little digital camera work underneath the basket. That's Taj Gibson a couple of minutes ago, stepping in between three Beavers and stuffing that ball home. We told you that O.J. Mayo just broke the freshman three-point record. This is the guy whose record he broke as a freshman. Remember Gabe Pruitt? It's a long time ago. Remember the old building? Remember the sports arena, Coach?
Why do you have to bring that up? I packed my lunch and there was rats eating my lunch in the sports arena. This has been a great addition to USC. I can't tell you how nice this is for USC to have this building in every aspect, and they deserve it.
Mayo has hit both of his threes and a two-pointer today. And he hyperextended that Achilles tendon and actually left the floor, went into the locker room for about 3 minutes, then came running back out. They immediately put him back in the game, and then I think the right move, they got him the basketball right away.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is you forget about the fact that if Pruitt and or Nick Young would have stuck around, all the difference that it makes with these young kids leaving to go into the draft, that's happening more and more, and freshmen are having a bit bigger influence. Of course, O.J. Mayo needed no introduction coming in as a freshman, very, very highly touted.
Taj Gibson at the line for SC, 15 and 8 the other night against Oregon. But this guy, it's his attitude. You know, he played with so much energy the other night, and he was getting angry. He was going after the basketball, and it was an edge that they're definitely going to need come the second season, come Pac-10 tournament time and NCAA tournament.
Well, he really plays the center position for USC, and he's not really a center. He's a power forward type player, quicker, obviously. But he's really learned, as I said, to stay out of foul trouble, and he's so quick to the ball that it really allows him to play that position down inside.
Yeah, 6'9", long and lean, and that's why I like to see a little bit of that anger. He's going to have to play bigger than that. Taken away by Mayo. Quick hands. He's got Wetherall on his left side. Gives it behind him to Jefferson, and Oregon State read it.
That was not a good decision fundamentally. He had Wetherall on the left ready to shoot a layup, and he tried to go to the dunk. Of course, doesn't get anything out of a 3-on-1 break.
Here's Gibson going right to the basket again. He hops and gets called for the walk.
Yeah.
Bill McAllister, Randy Burkhart, Ken Diddy are officials today.
You can come to a 2-foot stop, but once you come to a 2-foot stop, you can't pick a foot up and step through or anything. Kind of a little change of emphasis really in the rules where they used to allow you to come to a 2-foot stop if they felt you actually came to a 2-foot stop, and then you could step through, but they've kind of eliminated that.
Seth Tarver is back into the game for Oregon State. Poked away by Mayo, and getting on the floor for it was Joey McConnell. Joey McConnell played 18 minutes against UCLA the other night. Here's Mayo again for three.
Well, he's really regained his touch right now. All good passes, all good on-balance shots, but you still have to knock them down.
He had 32 against Oregon. He's got 11 already against Oregon State. Taj Gibson picks up his third block of the game, 132 career. Mayo again.
Oh, didn't draw anything there.
And that was, it looked like it was right on line, but it was about 8 inches short.
It did. He was kind of tapping his wrist as if the defender had gotten a piece of the wrist.
Sure, Shooters always do that.
Oh, yeah.
Simmons got a good rebound there. Shovels it to Weatherall into the front court.
Glad to see Weatherall got the ball. I think they forgot he was out there a few times. They were playing 4-on-5.
And he came in on Thursday night against Oregon. The crowd really responded, and he gave them 4.5 good minutes. And SC needs to develop a bench. Against UCLA, they only played 6. The game before that, they only played 7.
Wilkinson gave a great lift the other night.
Oh, he was fantastic. We're going to talk about Keith Wilkinson when he comes in. How good was he on the boards? Career high 11 against Oregon.
Yeah, and I never thought that was what he did very well. He was kind of a shooter, kind of a specialty player, and he went in and worked the boards for him, and that really, really helped USC.
I thought he was the key to that victory the other night. The 32 points by Mayo were obvious, but the great work by Wilkinson on the glass, tipping balls, giving the Trojans extra looks.
Of course, Oregon likes to play small and spread you out, and Wilkinson, of course, is more of a 3-man.
Josh Tarver went hard to the left side. Too strong. And a push from behind on Oregon State.
I think Marcel Jones get called over the top of Wilkinson. You know, it seems like when something goes bad, Murphy's Law, it all goes bad. You're trying to play hard, you're trying to do something right, and then you get called for the foul. SC marches to the other end, gets to shoot foul shots.
It's going to be a long first half. They're shooting free throws already with just under 10 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah, they're on the pace to score a lot of points right now, Waddy. 25 in the first 10 minutes of the game. The thing is, Tim doesn't really have a lot of bench to even go to. I mean, he can develop a little bit, but he doesn't have a lot of guys that even he can use.
Wilkinson, a career high 11 rebounds, and he was part of a big run, a 20-6 run where SC took the lead with about 6 or 7 minutes to go in that game for the first time.
Same thing happened to the Ducks today against UCLA. They were in command of that game. It looked to me like they were going to win, and all of a sudden UCLA runs a 22-6 run or something like that to take charge and win.
Oregon led 53-52 and ended up getting beat 75-65.
Well, they were up 11, I think, when UCLA made that run.
Kind of a strange 5 on the floor for SC. Jefferson, top of the key.
Again, Mayo's really the one scorer out there right now. Jefferson not really a scorer, kind of an offensive rebounder type scorer.
Sean Tarver pulls up to the top. Seth Tarver.
Interesting thing is, Waddy, last time I checked the stats, Oregon State did not have an assist. Nice
Marcel
block
Jones
inside.
with a big block as Lewis tried to take it inside again.
See if he backs him down, faces him up. Ooh, nice quick move, and right back to the glass.
Throws it up and in.
Yeah.
Mayo punctuates it with a scream into the student section.
Well, rather than back him down that time, he turned and faced and just blew by him on the baseline. Got the angle right there, just as if Tarver was standing still. Had the presence of mind to go back and rebound the ball. Calvin Haynes just stayed on the end line and didn't get back after the thing.
Second shot was much more difficult, but he converts and has a chance for a three-point play. He's sitting on 13 points already in the first half. And on a day like this, you would expect O.J. Mayo to probably not be around for a whole lot in the second half. It depends. This is a good opportunity for Tim Floyd on a day like this to develop that bench and go deeper and find out who's going to help you when you get to the postseason.
Well, and it really does a lot. I mean, he's got Cromwell over there that can play. You know, we've talked about some of the players that don't get to play a lot. Weatherall, Simmons, guys that are capable of playing, and it would really help their confidence. And it helps you at practice on Monday when you go in and you talk about the shot that you made or the play that you made, and you're involved a little bit. Oregon State's just got to run good offense. They've got to get some good sequences.
Haynes ran right into Mayo. That's Jones, and that would be a three. In and out. Loose ball picked up by Angelo Johnson inside.
Not much going for Oregon State right now. Just can't seem to get anything down. Most of their shots are off one-on-one type moves rather than off ball movement.
As good as SC is playing at the offensive end, their defense has been suffocating so far, and they're keeping Oregon State to one look.
Well, the leaders in this league, Jim, are guys who play good defense. If you look at them, Stanford, UCLA, Washington State, USC, yeah, those are top 4 teams, and they're the ones that are really defending. So you better catch that clue and get with it.
Lewis hits a 15-footer. He's got 4 points. Big screen out top from Hampton. Here's Josh Tarver. Gave it up late. Haynes, the runner in the lane. Another rebound for Keith Wilkinson. I think Wilkinson's going to be a good player for them in the postseason. Lewis looking for 2 in a row.
Boy, SC's just getting anything they want. They're just getting any shot they want coming down the floor. Oregon State not doing a very good job of covering the offensive glass and really not doing a good job of transitioning back in defense.
That was a three-pointer for Lewis, so he's got 7 points. You can see Oregon State is trying to protect to the inside, so they all cave in. And look, nobody outside.
Well, and SC's playing a lot of confidence. This is like the old street game out in playground. You know you got it cooking, so not really threatened right now. Free and easy, ball going down.
Now tomorrow, NASCAR on Fox moves to California, where last year Matt Kenseth dominated the field and took home the checkered flag. What will happen this year? Tune in, the Auto Club 500, powered by Q Motor Oil for the California Speedway. It's tomorrow, 12:30 Pacific, and only in high definition on Fox. You like the NASCAR, Coach?
I'm not really a car guy, you know.
I'm telling you, turn it on one day, send the wife to the mall, put your feet up, make yourself a Dagwood, and watch it. The coverage is unbelievable. There are cameras everywhere. You get to hear inside the car. They have gopher cams now. Have you seen the gopher cam?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, cameras at Daytona in the corner, so it looked like you were getting run over by the cars.
The thing that you missed was, though, send the wife to the mall? I'm trying to get her to get home from the mall.
34-5. We told you earlier today that Arizona State beat Washington. So Arizona State pulls even with SC in the win column. SC sitting at 7-6 a win today, and it looks like they're well on their way. Keeps them in 4th place. Now, we've talked many times with coaches in this league about what it's going to take. Everybody wants to talk about 20 victories. You're talking about 9-9 in conference?
I am. I think 9-9 in this conference this year should get you into the tournament. I think that would, given the caliber of the conference, I think that would be enough. Every game out is too tough. If you win 9, you deserve to go. It might come down to the conference tournament, though, Waddy. That may be the thing that separates these teams that are in that big gaggle in the middle of this thing.
Ball hit the front of the rim for Gibson, knocked out of bounds. We'll take another quick timeout. 6:59 to go in the first half. It has been all SC. That's what we expected. We wondered if SC would show up and take care of business. It's exactly what they're doing. Looks like a football score. 34-7 USC over Oregon State. SC, one thing they're already doing today is developing that bench, going a little bit deeper. We saw Ryan Wetherall in the game. For more on that, let's check in with Christine Nubla.
Waddy, thank you. Although Ryan Wetherall is just a walk-on, he actually had several offers to play college hoop in his native country, which is Canada. Now, considering he's from Calgary, Alberta, you would think he would be a hockey player versus a basketball player. And he actually told me earlier that was the case until he was 10 years old. He saw the movie Space Jam, and that day, Michael Jordan replaced Wayne Gretzky as his idol.
Space Jam. I remember. Thank you, Christine. Yeah, it's funny because Steve Nash, of course, who's the most famous Canadian basketball player, was a soccer player growing up. He came to basketball a little bit late.
Yeah, he wasn't always in Canada, though. He learned to play, I think, in South Africa is where he was born and learned to play soccer. And it's tough to play basketball in Canada on ice. It's just slippery. You can't get your footing up there.
From the outside, another three. That is Angelo Johnson. Johnson had 14 and 5 assists against Oregon on Thursday night. He's got 4 points so far here.
Oregon State has just got to work on their game. These young players have got to work on things fundamentally to see if they can't just learn how to play it, compete in this league against teams that are so good, because right now not much is going on for them. Hampton
missed that shot. Gibson, another rebound. The only thing that's going to keep numbers down for players like Gibson and Mayo are minutes today. A 30-point lead in the first half. Gibson, line drive and nobody there but black shirts.
Well, and if you're Tim Floyd, you want to continue to play the game correctly. No matter what combination you have in the game, you want them to play the way you want the game played.
Haynes, 17-footer, straight out.
So much of Oregon State's offense is predicated on one-on-one. Not much comes off assists, drives, draw kicks, screen away, any of that stuff.
Lewis looked around. There were no defenders there. Wilkinson, the backside board.
Couldn't believe he was that open. He fumbled the ball.
He looked up and he waited for the defense to react, and they just stood there and looked at it.
Never came. That might be best defense they've had so far.
And you can see, because Oregon State is not fundamentally sound, it's throwing off SC's rhythm a little bit offensively. They're getting into gaps expecting defenders to be there. It's going to be a slap to the head on Josh Tarver.
That's kind of a tough call, Waddy, to blame Oregon State's lack of fundamentals for USC's inability to get in a
rhythm.
Yeah, well, that's got to be Oregon State's fault too, huh?
Yeah, piling on now, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Free throw by Lewis is good.
They just don't have any confidence, Jim. It's been so tough on them that there's just nothing to reach back for, nothing to find.
Sean Cromwell in for SC, got that rebound. And a turnover by Oregon State. That was just miscommunication.
Yeah, not looking for the pass. Tarver trying to pass advance. Haynes not ready for it, and the ball just goes right out of bounds.
Well, if you're ahead of the ball on a semi-fast break, you better
get your hands
where
up.
it is.
Yeah,
your hands up and your head around.
That's what you should be looking for the ball. SC will lose a little bit of their rhythm, though, because it's just, oh, boy.
There's Gibson, who got stuffed on the rim and bumped and got it back, and now they're going to call a foul on Oregon State.
I thought he got actually bumped maybe on their initial dunk. Nice drop here by Lewis. Tried to go up, thought he might have got hit a little bit there. Didn't see well.
Calvin Hampton gets called for that foul.
It's going to be really difficult for USC to keep their concentration and keep their focus. You know, Tim's on the bench over here. Coach Floyd's thinking, geez, you know, I want these guys to play well, but you look up and you've got a 30-point lead in the first half. So, you want to relax a little bit. And so I think SC might lose a little of their focus. That's going to be their challenge, to continue to play good basketball. For Oregon State, they just got to find something that they can build on to try to get a win before this season gets away from them. 7
points for Gibson. It is 40-9.
Shouldn't say get away from him, because he's already gotten away from him before it's over.
Yeah, but SC has to take advantage of this opportunity. They're going to have the entire second half to work on things, and you're right. You want to come out of here with some momentum. You don't want to just stumble your way through the second half and get sloppy and forget what you're doing. You got to go back to work again. Ball knocked up over the glass and out of bounds. Oregon State will keep it.
Yeah, that's really true, because even though SC's potentially, and I say potentially because it's not over with, they're probably going to win this game and have 2 nice wins at home. They're still going to have to probably find another way to win a game or two to assure themselves of that NCAA bid, and that's what you're after. Don't let the committee make a decision about you. Make it clear cut.
And SC has a huge weekend in the desert next weekend against Arizona State. Mayo came right back in.
You know, I've seen an awful lot of that this year, where teams have been unable to get the ball inbounds on an in-line out of bounds. I mean, sure you're trying to score the ball on an in-line out of bounds. You draw up all these fancy screens, but the bottom line is you've got to have a safety valve that allows you just to get it in bounds. And I've seen more and more timeouts taken this year, teams' inability to get the ball in bounds from the in-line.
We told you before, we saw these two teams play in Corvallis on January 24th. That was 4 days after Jay John had been fired and Kevin Mouton promoted from assistant coach to interim head coach. His first game in Gill Coliseum as the head coach, and they just did not shoot well. 28% from the field. SC played some great defense, held Oregon State to just 44 points. That's their lowest total. Mayo had 19, Jefferson had 18. Great balance for SC. And remember in that game, Mike, a couple times SC had that game put away and would let Oregon State kind of get back into a little bit, kind of a yo-yo game.
And still, there's the deep pass over the top. And that's what happens. Basketball's a game of spurts. You're going to have spurts one way or the other. You just got to minimize the other team's spurts and try to maximize yours. That's really what it's all about. Just waiting for Oregon State spurt.
The biggest knock I've had watching SC play this year is that they will play to their competition. They did it against UCLA, but they'll do it against the weaker teams in the league as well. It seems to be a team that likes a challenge. They don't usually get focused until somebody slaps them in the face. How about that? Rashawn Cromwell with a slap in the face.
Well, I think you would say, and listening to the UCLA people today, they didn't feel like they played very well, yet they were still able to win. And, of course, their statement was, when you can win and not play well, it's a mark of a good team. And there's some truth to that. But, you can't count on getting up for a certain opponent, not for others. You have to come out ready to play the game the right way every single time.
So Tim Floyd's goal today, keep his guys focused for the rest of the afternoon. SC in command, 40-9. Still 3:53 to go in the first half. Now, there's a lot of ways to say it, but it's all the same thing. It is an awful year and an awful day for Oregon State. They're shooting 17% from the field. They have just 9 points so far. Their season low, as we told you already, was the first time against USC, where they had just 44 points. That was back on January 24th. 18 points is the all-time record at Stanford. That wasn't you, right, Mike?
No, that was before the 35-second clock, too, and that's really the reason they put a shot clock in, was to prevent the four corners and guys that just slow the game down, less possessions to give them a chance to win. They went to the clock.
Pete Carroll, of course, on hand. He comes to most of the USC basketball games. He tries to stay, kind of under the radar. He sits up underneath the eaves in the shadows, and he sits in the middle of a row, and they usually try to scoot people by so they don't bother him too much. But he's here all the time. He used to stand in the tunnels last year, but that was just mayhem. People kept coming by, getting pictures and autographs. And you asked the question, when we do an SC football game, do we show Tim Floyd in the stands? Well, there's 94,000 people, so it's hard to find him. But I don't even know if Tim goes to those games.
Well, you got my drift, though.
Yeah, I do. He's the unofficial mayor of Southern California.
Yeah, Pete's a great guy, too. He's a good guy that just loves his college kids and coaching these kids. And success has a lot to do with that.
Of course, he just got a great commit, Matt Barkley, the quarterback from Mater Dei High School down in Orange County, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior for the Monarchs.
Talent's really never been one of their shortcomings, Waddy.
Yeah, it's been hard for him. And there's Marcel Jones, a Mater Dei graduate, hitting the shot from outside. He's got 3.
I think I pointed out to you that Oregon State did not have an assist, but when you've only got 12 points, it's hard to have an assist necessarily.
There's the lob to Lewis. The lob was short by Angelo Johnson. Yeah, there's only been a handful of buckets, huh?
Yeah.
The pull-up, Wallace from outside. Wallace can play a little bit. I like his game.
Well, he can shoot the ball, there's no question. He can score.
Pump fake, Lewis, all the way to the basket for a deuce.
I think if you're Kevin Mouton, that's the thing that infuriates you. It's okay, you can miss shots. Maybe you're not as talented, maybe you're as young, but you got to go out and defend people and not just give up layups.
Again, one shot for Oregon State. And again, Lewis into the front court for SC. Hesitation, crossover, and the pull-up. Oregon State comes away with a loose ball. That doesn't happen too many times today. Here's Tarver, left side. One shot for Oregon State, every time.
People kind of looking for their shots now a little bit, Waddy, rather than move the ball and try to run offense. It's kind of like, well, I'll just take this shot and see if this one doesn't go down. That's probably the worst thing you can do. SC a little sloppy, throwing a lob that wasn't there.
There's Mayo, the fade. He left it short. As you can imagine, this game's getting a little bit ragged. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Schaffenar, we told you he could shoot it.
Just inside the 3. Matchup problem there. SC did not communicate coming back. Here's where I think that lack of focus is starting to show up. We talked about, Jim. Really not the intensity, the focus, the concentration to make sure you have your man who can't give up a bucket. Maybe you'll start trading baskets.
Well, you can understand probably the energy to drop a bit at the offensive end for SC, but not at the defensive end. You can always play defense regardless of the score, regardless of the clock. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Lewis is going to have to pull the trigger. Maybe got hit on the hand by Wallace.
Oh, my.
Tarver just turns it over.
Yeah, just for no reason, tried to pass advance for no advantage.
Mayo crossover to Gibson inside. He got pushed from behind.
See, I would disagree with you, Waddy, about where you would lose your concentration. I think offensively, because that goes in the scorebook and everybody likes to score, that you would continue to play offense. It's defensively where you would lose your edge, because that's just plain old hard work.
At this point, is Tim Floyd telling his guys, I want to see 4 passes, I want to run some things?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he wants to deviate from what they do as a general rule. I don't think he wants to restrict them at all, but I think he will. You've got to respect the game, and you've got to respect your opponent. And the way that you respect your opponent is by playing hard. The other team senses that you just don't even care and you're going to go out there for the motions. And that's really what you're doing, is disrespecting your opponent. Play the game correctly. Come out, play hard, do what you're supposed to do, and make the other team respond to you. I think that's going to be his point. But I don't think he'll try to change anything that he wants to do.
Marcus Simmons has come back in for USC. And Lewis comes out. Now Jefferson's coming in for Gibson with 1:05 to play in the first half.
see him have Cromwell in the game. The big young guy, I think, that has a chance to be a presence, a needed presence on the board when they get in the NCAA tournament.
Good effort by Jefferson, tipping that ball to himself, collecting the rebound. 45 seconds in the first half.
Possible 2-for-1 possession here if they want it. Turn it over instead.
Give it up to Tarver. Get back inside to Jones. Jones has 5 points in the first half. SC going to hold for one.
Just going to go 1-4 flat for O.J. Mayo. 1-4 flat. He's calling flat on the baseline. O.J. can certainly create something for himself if they double him up, which they're looking to do. He finds the open man right there.
It's Johnson. Johnson for three. Left it short, and that'll just about do it for the first half, 9-10. I thought for sure Mayo was going to the rack with that one.
Well, they doubled up on him. You know, anytime you go 1-4 flat, you generally run a second guy at the guy kind of rotate to a 2-3 zone, which is what Oregon State did. And Mayo smartly found the open man.
First half finally comes to an end for Oregon State. It was ugly from start to finish for the Beavers. Shot less than 20%, 43-16 USC. Well, we asked the question early, would SC stay focused against a team that had lost 16 games in a row? The answer is in early, yes.
SoCal Chevy at the half. We are at the Galen Center. It is halftime, and it is a blowout. 43-16, the score. USC with a huge lead. 16 points for Oregon State. To put that in perspective, O.J. Mayo has 14 points alone for the Trojans. Well, this is not the only game taking place in the Pac-10 today. There are two others. One was earlier this afternoon at Pauley Pavilion, UCLA hosting Oregon, the team that USC defeated on Thursday night. Let's take a look at the highlight. Kevin Love had an outstanding game against Oregon in Eugene earlier in the season. Started a little slower today. UCLA actually trailed the Ducks late in the first half until Russell Westbrook stepped up and made something happen there. The steal and the jam tied the game at 31, but still enough time for Oregon to retake the lead before halftime. Swan Porter hitting the three. Oregon led at the break. Tough day for Mr. Love. Wanted the ball inside, couldn't really do anything with it. Actually got yanked for a while in the second half, but he was back in when Porter did that to him. Right down the middle to a 15-for-1. Scary moment for UCLA right here. Russell Westbrook loses his balance going up for the basket. He was slow getting up, but he would be okay, as we see here. Capitalizes on some solid defense and converts. He finishes with 16 points. Bruin fans thanking their lucky stars that he's okay. Still, despite his efforts, Oregon still had the lead late. Harvard-Westlake grad Bryce Taylor, one of a few Oregon players to manage to make the Bruins look a little bit silly. Ducks had a 7-point lead. Finally, something clicked right around the 5-minute mark for the Bruins, sparked by aggressive defense. They found a way to get back on top. They did it with style, a lot of dunks. Russell Westbrook and Darren Collison. UCLA outscored Oregon 38-17 down the stretch. Collison led the way with 17 points, and UCLA won 75-65. Other score in the Pac-10 today, that is final. Arizona State defeated Washington 77-63. Arizona will face Washington State later on tonight at 7 o'clock, and then tomorrow it will be a good one. Cal at Stanford. That game is on FSN at 6 o'clock. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, lots more halftime on the way. Mike Montgomery and Jim Watson will break this one down. USC with a big lead. 43-16 is the score right now. We'll see what they do in the second half. Does everyone keep playing, or do they sit them out? We'll find out.
Pac-10 basketball on FSN is brought to you by your Southern California Chevy dealer. Visit SoCalChevy.com and by Pennzoil. Feel the clean. There was a rout going on at halftime. 43-16. SC shot 48% from the field. Oregon State 23%. And O.J. Mayo was the star of the first half. 5 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 14 points. And that three-pointer makes him #1 all-time for freshmen at USC. Halftime inside the Galen Center. busy outside, and it's been a one-way street inside. 43-16. SC over Oregon State. SC 48% in the first half. A couple of guys in double figures. O.J. Mayo and Dwight Lewis, 14 and 10. Jim Watson, Mike Montgomery back. Well, let's just talk about SC, I guess, in the first half. What you liked that the Trojans showed? I thought they showed some pretty good focus at the first end.
Conditioned that this was going to be a big game and not to have a letdown. Yeah. And, of course, Mayo gets a wide-open shot to start with, and he buries it, continuing off where he goes the other night. So, nobody even knows he's there, and he shoots a wide-open three. So they really put the hammer down.
Mayo? We talked about it early. He's always open.
Well, and you're in a zone, and your objective in a zone is as anybody comes ball side is to identify people and match up. But, Oregon State's got no shortage of problems, that's for sure. Mayo's just shooting ducks right here. Wide open shots. Here he gets down on the floor, picks up a loose ball. Davon Jefferson comes right back to him. Bang. Third 3.5 sets a record. So it's all SC right now.
You mentioned that Dwight Lewis has 10 points as well. This is probably his best move in the first half. Good transition play by SC.
Well, he comes on balance, shows the shot, and just drives to the basket, and no Oregon State player comes over to keep him out of the paint. A wide open layup on a transition, and that's what's happened. If you look at the stats here, Waddy, there's really nothing to hang your hat on if you're Oregon State. The shooting percentages, you're getting out rebounded, you're not assisting, and you have no second chance points. It's not very hard to see why we have the score we have.
Halftime stats brought to you by your Southern California Chevy dealer, SoCalChevy.com. Taj Gibson maybe had the best first half of all the Trojans. 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks. It is all USC. Jim Watson, Mike Montgomery, Christine Nubla, Dane Blanton, and of course Lindsey Soto is with us as well. First half summary brought to you by Michelin. 43-16 SC, and Oregon State's top 2 scorers, 4 points each.
It's always interesting to see what happens coming out of a timeout. That's generally what you see, what the coaches talk about, what they want to try to accomplish.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to see from Oregon State. I want to see a little pride. I want to see a little fight.
Yeah, some life. You want to see the ball move, guys get some assists, help each other out, tough to the glass, and compete a little bit.
And ball danced around on the rim. Oregon State gets another look. This is their 3rd look. This is their longest possession of the game.
And yet some competing on the board. So you like what you see if you're Oregon State, even though the ball doesn't get down. Sprinting back on defense, picking up.
Yeah, if I'm in the Oregon State locker room, I can just turn off the scoreboard and say, look, you're not going to win this game, but you're playing for jobs now. You're playing for the rest of this season. You're playing for next year.
Well, you got to talk to one another. You can't do it. You're not alone out there. Talk to each other. Help each other out. Make each other feel like there's somebody in it with you. Pick each other up. You make a mistake, you know how you feel, but pick your teammates up.
That was Calvin Haynes hitting that pull-up jumper for the Beavers. He's got 6 points. SC, by the way, finished the half just 2 for 10 from the field and then missed their first look down.
Yeah, they lost their focus, you could tell. Now there's a nice skip pass by Gibson. As they doubled, they just skipped across the weak side. Johnson hits a 3.
Angelo Johnson now 7 points for USC. Spinning inside was Carter. Carter was one of the guys, along with Marcel Jones, that was suspended for the UCLA game.
That double dribble, I think, is a call. You know, Waddy, I had 2 people come up to me during the break and ask me if you had a battery for that shirt and tie, if it went on and off.
I don't know why you're down on it.
I'm not down on it. I didn't know the answer to that. I thought it might.
Look, just because I show a little personality and I throw a little color into my tie.
I like it. I'm all for you.
You're over here selling insurance in that get-up. It's pastels. I'm trying to push spring a little bit. Angelo Johnson outside again. He's in a double figures now with 10 points.
So even though Oregon State came out and did all the right things, Oregon State can't defend USC from 2 threes from Angelo Johnson. One of the least likely, and maybe a third.
Right in a row.
Yep, 3 in a row.
He's feeling it now.
So just look at the body language out there of Oregon State. And it's just not very good.
You got to recognize he had the hot hand. He sat in the corner 3 times down. SC is 8 for 13 from 3, and most of those have been completely uncontested. It is 52-18. Really? 52-18 SC over Oregon State. At halftime, we sent our reporters outside the respective locker rooms to talk to the coaches. Christine Nubla, I got to imagine Tim Floyd was in a pretty good mood at the break.
And very pleased, Wade. I asked him if he was impressed with the intensity that the team showed during the entire first half, and he said yes. He liked the way the team played hard, did a good job defensively, holding Oregon State to 23% shooting. Offensively, liked the way the team played loose and open. Asked him if there were any changes coming into the second half, and he said no. We want to increase the lead and develop their bench a little bit. Let's see what the word is on the Oregon State side. Here's Dane Blandon.
Well, thanks, Christine. I had a chance to talk to assistant coach Lloyd, and he said, of course, that was the worst half of the year. They're not happy. The players are a little bit down, but, you know, it's a young team. They have to go out here in the second half, make more shots, put some pressure. You saw a little full-court press in that first half, but trying to mix it up. This will be a moral victory if they can do anything and chip away at the lead at all. But USC has just too many weapons here. Angelo Johnson hitting the three, O.J. Mayo. They really don't know what to do, but if they can chip away at the lead here, it will be a moral victory. Back to you, Waddy.
Yeah, that's about all they can play for right now, Dane, as Taj Gibson gets into double figures in the lane. That's 10 from him. Mike, did you ever have to coach on the short end of a game like this, maybe back in the days of Montana?
No, actually, we were pretty good at Montana. You know, you get down, you know, you maybe come into a situation like this, you say, fellas, let's win the second half. We're not going to win this thing. Let's win the second half. Let's try to prove that we can play with this team. You know, and what now you see Kevin Mouton has done is he has gone to his bench. He's bringing people in that you haven't seen before. So he doesn't feel the effort of the group that started the half was what he wanted, so he's going to give some other people a chance.
Well, what did we say at halftime? We said that same thing. If the guys that are out there aren't going to show some pride, aren't going to show some fight, then go down the bench and see who wants to play.
Yeah, you know, it's easy for us to sit here and say that, though. But when you've gone through as much as Oregon State has, it's awfully difficult out there. And you really got to dig down and just find something within yourself to play for and, you know, play for your teammates and all those kinds of things. But, you know, those are words, and it's a lot harder when you're playing against the quality of teams in this league.
Shot clock is at 10. Mayo goes to work against Marcel Jones, just pulls up right in his face.
See, but that's where if you're Marcel Jones and you're a senior, you have an opportunity to play against a player like O.J. Mayo. You say, hey, I'm not going to let him score. That's your battle. That's your individual game that you have. Those are the kinds of things you look for.
And for Marcel Jones, for Calvin Haynes, there's a couple guys from Oregon State that grew up in Los Angeles. Haynes went to Taft High School out in Pasadena, and Marcel Jones from Mater Dei.
Nice little roll hook there off the glass.
Chaffenauer, I like Chaffenauer. I think he's going to be a nice player for this group. Only a sophomore.
Got to get in the weight room a little bit.
Got to find it. Lewis from short 17, that wouldn't go. Chaffenauer rebound.
You're the coach, you've got to put your players in a position to be successful. Don't ask them to do things they can't do.
Hampton, who has pretty good size, going to throw this ball to the corner to McConnell. Back to Klatt. Ricky Klatt for three. That was halfway down. Klatt got knocked to his back, no whistle.
Last time we had them, I thought Hampton and Carter, as two freshman big guys, had a chance. You know, they're big and, you know, not real polished, but they're young big guys.
Yeah, Hampton is real big. He's 6'10", but he's obviously very young. Look at his face, he looks like he's about 14 years old, but great body, 6'10", and he can move. He's got quick feet. He's got the ball now. Turns and faces. Drop that shoulder a little bit. Go to his left, and Gibson picks up his fourth block of the game.
Yeah, you can't expose the ball and put it back in Taj Gibson's face like that. See, that's the thing that bothers you, is he just goes right by the defender, right down the lane. You should have help on either side and pick him up and make him shoot from outside.
See, that was sophomore against sophomore, but that's a 22-year-old sophomore against a 19-year-old sophomore. That's a 3-year difference. Get it out. Time now for our Lexus Pursuing Perfection. We check in with AJ Angelo Johnson, who's been red hot to start this second half.
It's like playing horse out here. Waddy's standing over there on the weak side, catching those skip passes from Gibson. Same spot, same shot, same result.
And now SC has 4 players in double figures. O.J. Mayo leads everybody with 14, then Angelo Johnson with the 13, and Gibson and Lewis with 10 each. By the way, Gibson with 5 rebounds and 4 blocks, so a chance for him at a triple-double today.
Don't know if he's going to even be in the game long enough to get a triple-double, but 10 blocks would be good news.
You know, Johnson's had a great weekend, maybe as good as any player, with the exception of Mayo, because against Oregon he had the 14 points, but he also had 5 big assists, gave them a huge lift in the second half.
Well, with Hackett out, somebody had to step up. I expect Hackett back, I think, here pretty soon, but now Angelo Johnson gives you another player that's battle-tested out there that can do some things to help you so you can move people around.
There's Hackett, who sits down at the end of the bench, and we do expect him to return next week against the Arizona schools on that road trip. SC really needs him. SC's a much different team with Daniel Hackett on the floor. All you have to do is look at the 2 UCLA games and see the difference right there. He was fantastic over in Westwood. SC won that game. Then he didn't play here, and UCLA came back and beat the Trojans.
Well, Hackett's a real smart player. He understands the game. He's a big guard, and other players have confidence in him that he can run things for them and get them the ball where they can be successful, which is important. That's what a point guard's job is. Jefferson's been pretty quiet, not only today and on cue. He just makes a step-away jump shot.
Oregon State's offense looks a lot better the second half. At least they have some direction. There's Jones, who just hit a 3, comes right back and backs it up. And he's got 13 in front of his home folks.
Yeah, and you've seen Oregon State do this in spurts where they've made 2 or 3 shots, hit some threes, look decent, but they just can't sustain it.
Jefferson goes around Schaffenart. Oh, and tried to reverse it. Got caught in the air.
I think Jefferson can go around Schaffenauer anytime he wants if he faces up on him. You have to run a guy to help. Schaffenauer's asked to come out of the game. He must be hurting a little bit. Don't know why.
Let's check in with Christine Nubla.
You know, Mike mentioned that with Daniel Hackett out, this has provided a big opportunity for Angelo Johnson. The freshman is coming off a 14-point performance against Oregon and has done a commendable job in Hackett's absence. I talked with Johnson earlier today, and I asked him if the mentality is different coming off the bench versus starting a game, and he said no matter what role he has on this team, his job is to bring intensity, and guys, he is bringing it right now.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. There's Mayo with a fade. He's got 16 points to lead everybody. I think Angelo Johnson has played great the last couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps that up. That's going to make SC even that much tougher. SC is one of those teams I think is really dangerous at tournament time because they can match up against anybody. You see the problems that they give teams like UCLA. They have so many athletes on the floor, and of course you have Tim Floyd, one of the best game coaches in college basketball.
Well, he understands matchups. He understands who has to be defended. He takes other teams' best players out of it with good defense. He'll mix up defenses with a triangle or 2, box and 1, some zone stuff, some hybrid stuff. And he does have good athletes. That's exactly right. He's got people that can match up one-on-one pretty well.
And he's allowed this group to play a little bit. He's loosened the reins, and you know, he knows that these guys have grown up with a different type of game. A little bit looser, a little more transition, a little running. Yeah,
you get paralysis by analysis sometimes when you try to do too much with kids that aren't used to playing that way, and that's worked pretty well for him.
Carter, short from 14. Weatherall had it, got knocked down.
You know, when Christine was talking, there was a couple pretty good plays. Oregon State had a really nice little inline out of bounds play where they back screen and threw it up in front of the rim for a dunk. And, of course, SC came back and made a real nice play at the other end. So, if nothing else, you want to see good basketball played here in the last 12 minutes of the game. Both teams executing, playing well.
Oregon State scored 16 points in the first half. They already have 14 here in the second half. Their lowest on the year is 44 points. That against USC up in Corvallis.
Sometimes your best team is not your best 5 players in terms of talent. It's a combination of, call it chemistry, call it what you like, but players that play well together.
Gibson got in trouble and threw it away. Tarver being chased by Lewis. Knocked away. SC has a 3-on-1. Mayo has
Watch out, here's a highlight.
There's Lewis for the finish.
They're all running hard because they want that dunk. Sometimes the floor gets one way. It's really tilted going offensively and a little bit uphill.
And here's Mayo again, and he's going to finish it himself.
Didn't look like he got the lift off that leg, maybe.
Yeah, that's that left Achilles.
It in.
Remember, yeah, Early in the game, he stepped on a defender's foot and extended that Achilles tendon, had to leave the game and leave the building, went into the locker room and came back. But yeah, he barely got over the front rim. Here's Lewis to Weatherall. Crowd wanted Weatherall to shoot it. Mayo for three.
The crowd wanted Weatherall to dunk it. That ain't gonna happen either.
21 points for O.J. Mayo. 32 against Oregon on Thursday night.
Just comes so easy for him. It's just, you know, his shots that he makes, he goes up, he can get a shot whenever he wants. When they go down, it just looks so easy for him.
And USC now, like a heavyweight, they got the opponent on the ropes and are going right to the body. The first fast break, they give up. Mayo to Lewis, and then Mayo from three. And SC is running away. Killer instinct, 67-30. Pac-10 basketball on FSN is sponsored by Principal Financial Group. We'll give you an edge. By your Southern California Ford dealers. See what's new at sfforddealers.com. And brought to you by the all-new Ranger RZR. See it up close at your local Polaris Ranger dealer. That is the Galen Center, and that is Figueroa. If you walk out of the Galen Center and turn right and walk north, about 3 blocks away is Staples Center. Staples Center is where the Pac-10 tournament is. This is USC. A day at the races 3 times in a row, and that was the dunk by Mayo where Coach has said that he didn't quite get the lift that we have seen in the past. Maybe that Achilles tendon.
Well, the thing in Oregon State, of course, has to do, and at this point, I don't think it's kind of a moot point, but you've got to eliminate the easy stuff. Make SC have to take tough shots. No second shots, no fast break stuff. You know, not wide open threes to the best shooters on USC's team, and they're not been able to do that.
Marcel Jones just hit for Oregon State. He's got 15 points. Here's Mayo. Short. Jones the rebound and the outlet. Carter was looking for some help.
O.J. Mayo missed that shot and did what we always talked about, attacked his mistake. He ran after the ball rather than running back on defense. That's a no-no.
Oregon State in the second half is shooting just under 40%. Weatherall had the steal, couldn't collect it, chased it out of bounds.
Funny how the fans always pick a guy like Weatherall to root for, don't they? It's usually the walk-on, but you know what I've seen of Weatherall this year, he's a pretty good little player. He's a feisty guy that knows how to play. Tough guy.
Yeah, for the SC fans at home, of course, he's this year's Chris Penrose, who was a fan favorite here inside the Galen Center, just wrapped up his career, and now he's working with us. Now, Weatherall's one of those guys, been on the bench, been anonymous for a long time, starting to get into some games, playing some pretty sticky defense.
But you know, the players know, they play every day in practice, and they know what a guy like Weatherall gives them. Competes every day, helps make them better, doesn't complain. You got to have role players out there, guys that are willing to do that.
Yeah, and you know, they show up just like all the other guys. They run all the line drills, and they have rare chances to get into games. And when Weatherall walked into the gym today, I looked at him and I said, hey, nice 4.5 minutes against Oregon the other night. And he got that sheepish grin on his face. I said, we're going to see you again today. Kind of nodded, then you yelled at him, hey, you got to get him when you can.
Well, kids like that want, of course, get over the fact that people look at them like they shouldn't be playing or those were, you know, bonus minutes. They want to feel like they can contribute.
Now, Weatherall played the first half against Oregon, not mop-up time. Gibson alone.
You know, that's what you have to have if you're Oregon State's the loose balls, and SC's actually out-hustle them even to loose balls, which you can't have if you're Oregon State. That's one thing, and that's an effort thing. That has nothing to do with ability or how many games you've won or anything else.
12 points for Gibson, 6 rebounds and the 4 blocks. Johnson from outside. Mari Johnson, we haven't talked much about Mari Johnson, a guy who missed the first part of the season with an injury to the cheekbone. You can see still wears that mask to protect it.
Well, he's a freshman from Los Angeles, Dorsey. This has got to be hard on him. He probably came to L.A. hoping to show a little something.
Jones battling inside, had it, lost it. Taken away by Lewis. Lewis the lob to Jefferson. It was too much.
Kids love that lob play. I just never liked it very much. I thought you had a 100% opportunity. You turn it into a 50% opportunity, but the kids seem to love it.
SC just out hustling Oregon State on this play, battling for it, keeping it alive, and then Gibson's left alone.
Almost double the score, 34-point lead for USC.
There's that hustle that has endeared Weatherall to the home folks.
But that's where everybody should play right there.
We've been talking about Taj Gibson's night and those 4 blocks to go along with a pretty good line, 12 points and 6 rebounds as well. You know, we said that he plays out of position at center, but he seems to have grown into that spot now.
Well, he has no choice. You know, he has to use his quickness against bigger players, and he's able to do that. But he does have a real good timing on his blocks. He waits for the other player, the offensive player, to commit himself, and then he goes up and blocks a shot going straight up. It's kind of a knack that people have, and Gibson definitely has it.
He played well in Washington against Brockman. He's played well against Love. He played well against Catron the other night for Oregon. So, you know, he doesn't mind bodying up on guys that are a little bit taller and much heavier. You know, he'll separate, he'll step away from guys.
Well, he tries to get around defensively, use his quickness to get around, use those long arms so that the man he's guarding doesn't catch it all the time down low. Goes for the steal.
Jones
got a nice stroke.
Cromwell had it, lost it, and ends up in the hands of Omari Johnson inside. He scores for Oregon State. And it looks like Oregon State's going to surpass the 44 points that SC held them to in Corvallis back in late January. That was their lowest of the year. Lewis turns it over. Ricky Platt finishes. His first bucket.
If Weatherall is going to get himself a chance later on, as he gets later on in the season, he's going to have to run this club. I'm sure Tim Floyd would like to see him run it, be a point guard he could go to buy some minutes.
This is kind of that same lull that SC got into for about 5 minutes in the first half. Rashawn Cromwell had that shot blocked. And of course, they do have a different 5 on the floor, guys who aren't used to playing with each other.
There's no question, you know, and Cromwell last year did some really nice things, I thought, where, you know, as a freshman, he had a lot of promise as a big guy. Hasn't had quite the minutes this year. Where you going?
Weatherall, 14-footer, and he was looking to pass that ball until he left the floor. Then he decided to take that shot.
Well, everybody backed off him and left him open. He really wasn't ready to shoot it. That wasn't his thought process, as you say. He wanted to dish it off. Regardless of what happens here, Tim Floyd can live with it. If he gets his younger players some experience, again, it helps your whole team, chemistry, their whole attitude when they go to practice on Monday.
Yeah, I agree. When you go into that locker room, you can feel everybody's a little tighter.
Well, everybody talks about the play that Weatherall made, or the block that Cromwell got, or great job on the rebound, Wilkinson, all that kind of stuff. It just makes you tighter as a team. Got something to talk about. That's what foreign tours do for kids. You know, they get themselves in experiences where they see kids in a different light and do things they aren't normally used to.
Lewis took that ball hard to the rim. Couldn't get it to go on the contact. Oregon State competing here in the second half. Much, much better. That was Sean Carter on the reverse layup. He's got 4.
Nice dish in there.
And they cut it under 30 now.
I don't think the margin of victory for Tim Floyd's going to have any bearing at all. I don't think he really minds as long as they can just continue to do things. Long rebound, long shot, long rebound. You talk about it all the time. Oregon State standing. They have inside position, Jim. There's no reason that SC should be able to get the ball before they do.
Lewis gaps the defense.
You can tell what kind of game it's been. Tim Floyd hasn't even taken his coat off.
That's the first time this year, I think.
It is. I think he has a shirt like you have on. He's afraid to take it off. There we go.
Simmons' first bucket.
Talked about Simmons as a freshman out of Louisiana. Great body, long arms, wide, broad shoulders.
Haynes, the lefty, stroking it. It was only a 2. And Lewis comes out of there a little gimpy as he jogs up court.
Yeah, he wants to come out.
Yeah, he's holding that thigh, the front of that thigh.
He wants to play on. Tim Floyd's going to play on here. They took the timeout to get the subs in, and you can do that. Part of the rules allow you to play on. You just let the official know that you don't want to actually utilize the timeout. Apparently the officials aren't going to let him do that. So we can go to NASCAR.
Don't forget NASCAR on Fox comes to Cali. Last year, Matt Kenseth dominated the field, took home the checkered flag. What will happen this year? Tune in. It's the Auto Club 500 powered by Q Motor Oil from the California Speedway. It's 12:30 Pacific. High definition only on Fox. Here's my unsolicited opinion of NASCAR. It is the best show. I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to Final Fours. You can go to a NASCAR event. You don't even need to go to the race. You just walk around and look at the people. You know, each driver has an 18-wheeler that opens up on the side, and all they do is sell stuff for that driver. Shirts, hats, keychains. You can buy his practice tires, take them home, make a coffee table out of it.
You can get the same thing if you go to Venice Beach.
Absolutely you can at Venice. Simmons inside. Oops. Dropped it out of bounds. It is a great show. It is a circus. 71-43, SC over Oregon State, 4:29. All the SC fans have their favorite Trojan, including Will Ferrell, of course, who was a sports information major here at USC. And among his many accomplishments, number one right at the top of his resume, my lab partner in college. Now, of course, playing for the Flint Tropics is Jackie Irvin. Maybe that's my best accomplishment. Check in again with our principal financial group, Edge to the Game. It's stuff we talked about early.
Yeah, and I don't think, obviously, SC did not have a letdown. They came out on fire, and they've got great distribution of their scoring. Oregon State, I think it's pretty obvious they just really are struggling psychologically to feel like they can win and where they're going to get some feel good. Just don't know. They're starting to shoot the ball right now. And I've seen Oregon State do this. I've had them several times. There'll be times when they jump up, the ball comes out of their hand cleanly, they shoot the ball very well. They just can't sustain it for any length of time.
Yeah, they're pretty young, they're not very deep, and they're not very big, so they have some issues. But these are all fixable problems. Weatherall from the corner! A fall-away three!
That's what the crowd is waiting for.
Oh, now that's the one they're going to talk about. Just like you said, they're going to talk about Weatherall's shot along with all the other things. Now he's much more a part of this team. Makes everybody feel good.
Simmons got his hand caught in the cookie jar there, reaching out front.
Ryan Weatherall, the sophomore from Calgary, Alberta, in the corner. Bang, that's a three. Oh, yeah, run down court like you own it. Back at the Galen Center on FSN, Jim Watson, Mike Montgomery, Dane Blayton, Christine Nubler, Lindsey Soto, and our Farmer Insurance plays of the game. It's O.J. Mayo, is 50% from the field. He's got 21 points and 5 rebounds, and now he has the USC all-time freshman record for three-pointers in a season. That's where he got hurt. Maybe he extended that Achilles tendon, but it doesn't look like it bothers him anymore.
Probably a little sore tomorrow, but that's what happens when you tweak something. You got the adrenaline going. Usually they're able to come back. Mayo's got 21, but it's kind of a quiet 21. I mean, he's not dominated the game, which is good. That's exactly what you want from him.
He had 32 against Oregon on Thursday night, so help me with the math. What's that, 53 points in the 2 games?
Maybe we should ask your lab partner. Would he know the answer to that?
I saw Farrell at the Rose Bowl, and they tried to kick him off the field. They didn't recognize him. We've talked many times about O.J. Mayo and those ridiculous expectations coming in. And, it's funny, you walk around this town, some people love the kid, and other people say, oh, he's been a dismal failure. And I look at them and I say, what are you watching?
Well, but that's what expectations are. That's why in the preseason poll, coaches, they hate expectations because they're usually a little bit higher than you probably can reach up to. So if you don't reach them, it's a disappointment.
Marcus Simmons with that turnaround, that looked pretty nice. He's got 4. Now, I think you got to keep in mind that Mayo is still a freshman, and you saw some of it today as Haynes knocks down the outside look. There are times when O.J. Mayo just takes your breath away, and I got to call about 5 of his games in high school, and he was an amazing guy. The thing people don't talk about is his ability to shoot the outside jumper.
Well, he's a little more inconsistent from outside than I might have thought in terms of just being able to bury the open three. But what he can do is he can make plays. He just does things that you go, wait a minute, did he just do what I think he did?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that separates him a little bit. He's very athletic. He's got a great body. He's got long arms. He can defend, and he does defend. And he's pretty quiet out there. Despite all the things you may have heard, he's not a kid that mouths off or
That's
demonstrative.
Right.
He doesn't point, he doesn't do any of that gesturing stuff. He pretty much just plays. When he plays bad, he takes responsibility. And so all those things I like about him.
Yeah, I agree with all that. As I said, I was around him a little bit in high school, and we all saw the video where he bumped the referee and everybody got on him. Weatherall got his shot blocked from the corner, Cromwell, and the shot clock violation. And I think if you just saw those highlights, just clipping those tall poppies off, you had this whole opinion of O.J. Mayo that was completely inaccurate. He's actually a very quiet kid.
Well, what I've learned about reporting the news is you can spin something any way you want.
Sure.
If you want to paint a picture of a kid being a bad kid, you can do that pretty easily. You hear about all the athletes these days, about all the things that they don't. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and the bench was going crazy. That was an amazing play. He just didn't finish it. Carter will at the other end for the Beavs.
He just exploded up top.
Wow.
But again, a freshman that, in a year or two is going to be able to make that play. So you got to like what you see.
That was a phenomenal play. Wilkinson, everybody wants this kid to score. He played so well against Oregon on Thursday night. Those 11 huge rebounds. And he didn't score, but he didn't take any shots either.
Hard to score. The thing is, you don't need everybody to do everything. You just need people to hit open shots, be in the right position, defend for sure, board the ball in your area, and be a part of a team. Have a role and fill it. And that's what you've got with Wilkinson and some of these other kids, and I think Tim needs to develop more of that as the season goes along. Hackett comes along, looks like Johnson's going to do that now. He's got some game experience under his belt, going to be a valuable player. I'd like to see Cromwell, same thing. I think he could help him against a big team. He just would go in and rebound his area.
Well, SC has played, 10 different guys today, and 8 guys have scored.
And that's what you like to see when you go in the locker room. You like to see that distribution. Playing 10 guys is not that hard to do. You may not be playing big minutes, but you can buy some time on either side of a timeout for a player, and so that if a guy does get a sprained ankle or tweaks something, at least he's hasn't been in the game. He doesn't know what to do. He's used to going in and playing. His final score is not going to be probably indicative of the margin of this game. Well, maybe it is. There you go. There's your
Terrence Green for USC, the junior from Aliso Viejo. And you can see, again, popular with the guys on the bench. They see these other guys every day on campus, every day at practice, right next to them in line drills. These are the anonymous guys towards the end of the bench that usually don't get in too much.
You can't have a team without them. You cannot have a basketball team without them. Those are the guys that play every day in practice. It's what allows you to have competitive practices.
So now everybody has scored except for Cromwell that has played. 9 out of the 10 now have scored. See if they try to get Cromwell a look one more time down.
So what you'd like to see maybe is the bench talk about it and say, hey, let's get the ball to Cromwell down inside, see if you can get him a little look.
81-53, CFSC even takes a shot here or just dribbles the clock out. Terrence Green, who just hit.
Classy thing to do is to not shoot the ball, but you've got kids that haven't been in the game all season long. It's kind of hard to ask them not to shoot the ball.
10 seconds now to play. SC's going to improve to 17-9, 8-6 in conference. Hold on to 4th place.
See, Tim is pointing outside. I think he's telling him, don't shoot the ball. I think that's the sportsmanlike thing to do.
Stolen by Amari Johnson. He's got Haynes. Johnson will miss the layup and get it back.
Well, there's a microcosm of the game right there.
Yeah.
A wide open shot that you miss. A kid rebounds it wide open and it slips out of his hands. That's just in the kind of season it's been for Oregon State.
Yeah, not much more you can say. They're about to lose their 17th straight game. They are now 0-15 in conference and threatening to become the first team to go winless in the Pacific 10 Conference since USC did it in the Pac-8 Conference back in 1975. Tim Floyd picks up another victory. Take a look at your 4-game summary. Marcel Jones, the modern-day grad, comes back to Los Angeles. Suspended, did not play against UCLA. Good account of himself here today at the Galen Center with 15 points. O.J. Mayo, 4 3-pointers, leaves him at 66 now. That's all-time #1 for USC freshman, breaking the record of Gabe Pruitt. Mayo leads everybody today with 21 points. SC with 4 guys in double figures. Dwight Lewis had 14. Angelo Johnson, 13. And 12 points for Taj Gibson, who also added 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 blocks. USC wins it 81-53, their 17th victory, and the Trojans go to celebrate with their classmates. And there's the smile on the face of O.J. Mayo. You know, he knows he's always watched everywhere he goes, whatever room he's in. I've traveled with these guys. When he walks through airports, people will stop and point and say, hey, that's O.J. Mayo. So it's good to see him being a kid, being a college kid for just a couple of minutes. You saw one of his classmates giving him a little high five and a little love.
Well, yeah, the kids, they have friends on campus. They live in dorms. They see these kids every day, and it is fun. But that's 8 wins for USC now. I say 9's a magic number for the NCAA tournament, and USC is 1 win away.
Christine Nubla has O.J. Mayo.
What a night for O.J. Mayo, 21 points. O.J., games like this that you're supposed to win, there's always a fear of a letdown. How'd you guys avoid that tonight?
Well, Coach told us to treat them, like they're the #1 team in our league. We believe we have a really strong league, and the record really doesn't indicate their play. We just want to come out and keep the same intensity and just give us one more opportunity to get into the tournament.
Tonight you become USC's freshman all-time three-point leader, surpassing Gabe Pruitt. What does that milestone mean to you, just being a freshman?
It's a great honor, but I really couldn't do it without my teammates. They really look for me around the arc, and when I get an opportunity to knock them down, I just really want to knock them down.
Talk to me a little bit about your team and the bench tonight. You guys finally getting a break, not having to play 40 minutes. Was it good to see those guys out there?
Oh, yeah, it's great. Everyone got to play tonight. Everyone contributed to this victory tonight. And, it was a great way to end the weekend.
Last question. I know you kind of pulled up there in the first half with your left Achilles. How are you feeling right now?
I'm good. I'm going to get some treatment and try to get ready for Thursday and Monday's practice.
O.J., nice job tonight. Congratulations on the win.
All right.
Waddy, Mike, back to you.
Now, it's down to Tucson on Thursday night and then Tempe on Saturday for USC. They're 8-6, Mike, and you think they're what? Just one victory away. Obviously, they're not going to stop there, but you think that one more clicks them and they're into the NCAA tournament. Well, and they still have the Pac-10 tournament to play.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. I think the first 3 teams perhaps have separated themselves a little bit. UCLA, Stanford, and Washington State. From there on, it's just kind of almost a hodgepodge of a bunch of teams, any one of which could move up into a 4th or 5th spot. So, there's going to be some ties, and the ties maybe have to be solved in the Pac-10 tournament. But I just feel like in this league this year, as strong as it is, that if you have 9 wins, you should go to the NCAA tournament.
And we think that 6 teams for sure for the Pac-10 are in, but there's a good case for that 7th team, and it's going to depend, again, as Coach said, what happens at the Pac-10 tournament. But I think there are teams like Oregon that are much better than their record that deserve a serious look.
Well, you say 6 teams are in. See, this is the news thing. Everybody, how many opinions are there out there where they're saying they're in and they're in
this
and
is the only one that matters right now.
Yeah, there's 180 teams in if you listen to everybody. The thing is, you got to earn your way in. That's what you need to know as a coach in a basketball team. You got to earn your way in. Forget about what people are saying.
Sure.
Just go win games, and that's what you need to do.
That's going to do it for us. Of course, for my partners, Dane Blaine, Christine Nubla, and the coach, Mike Montgomery. I'm Jim Watson saying so long from the Galen Center. USC beats Oregon State 81-53. For those of you watching in Southern California, a little SC postgame coming up. For those of you in the Northwest, more Pac-10 action. Arizona taking on the Cougs. Washington State, once again, 81-53 SC on a record-breaking night for OJ.